I'm Dean Randazzo from Jersey Devil Surf, and you are watching South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux.
Welcome to South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux. I'm excited to be here and to share some information, a few tips, and a couple techniques that can help make our business community and your business successful. Thank you to Stockton University for the opportunity to bring you a show. On today's program, we will talk with Dean Randazzo of Jersey Devil Surf on the Boardwalk and a second location in Gardner's Basin in Atlantic City, New Jersey. Dean will share his entrepreneurial journey that brought his passion and profession of surfing together with the business of running a surf shop in Atlantic City. I have known Dean for almost 40 years. Following his career as he surfed around the world, Dean represented South Jersey extremely well and never forgot the waves and waves of people and fans from our region. Stay tuned for our conversation with Dean Randazzo of Jersey Devil Surf as he drops in to talk business, community, and giving back, and more on South Jersey Business with Joe Molyneux. Welcome back to business. Thanks for joining South Jersey Business with me, Joe Molyneux. Please welcome our guest, co-owner and operator of Jersey Devil Surf in Atlantic City, New Jersey, Dean Randazzo. Dean, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
I mentioned in the opening that you and I have known each other for a long time. At what point in your life did you decide that surfing would be your career?
Probably the first day I stepped on a surfboard, I was like, oh, this is the feeling I've been looking for. But I think at age 12, I was reading through Surfer Magazine, and I saw the address for the ASP, Surfing Association of America. And I cut it out, put it in my scrapbook. I said, someday I'm going to need that. And, I guess I set my goals pretty far ahead. Like, if you can't set your goals to where you're scared to death of the goal, that's kind of what you got to do, I guess, because,
It's really great advice, set the goal and go for the goal. You've traveled all over the world, really, in surfing and all over the country, on a regular basis. The vision that you had when you were going and traveling and visiting all these, I'm sure a lot of surf shops and other areas around the country, how important was that experience that you had when you started your own business? Were you able to bring elements of what you saw into the new business?
Yeah, of course. You travel the world and you kind of bring little pieces here of what you've seen in other countries and different cultures. Grow up in the surf shop was kind of like a magical place where you kind of could smell the wax when you walked in there, and it was like, the wetsuits, the surfboards, you always went in there to check out the different boards, and so that's the whole experience of a surf shop, which was kind of like, a dream to be able to have that.
Well, speaking of the surf shop, how did Jersey Devil Surf come about? Can you talk a little bit about how that?
Well, I had one business before the surf shop before that one, and it kind of went bad, and I had to get an attorney to get the situation straight. But my attorney thought of the idea that the surf shop thing was great. So Resorts was remodeling, and Atlantic City seemed to be turning itself around, and he thought it'd be a great idea to do the surf shop and sort of tie my likeness into it and get it going, which it's turned out great.
Well, I was going to say I visited the store many times, and that oceanfront view is hard to beat. But what do you like most about the store and the location?
Well, it's all location. We got the best break right out front, and the store is beautiful. We put a lot of money into it and effort, and we have all the top brands in there. It's awesome.
So you're running a successful location in Atlantic City. At what point did you decide to open the second location in Gardner's Basin, also in Atlantic City?
Just love the Gardner's Basin area. We see a lot of potential back there. It's just starting to kind of find its way back there, but I think it's a great location. It's more local oriented, where the boardwalk's more touristy. So we thought it'd be a good place to connect with the locals.
Now, I was never a big surfer growing up, but I was lucky enough to grow in the culture, and there was always grow up in the culture of surfing, and there was always a great vibe. What do you do to bring that vibe into the store? Because when I visit the store, I feel that cultural surfing South Jersey vibe. How do you manage that?
Just kind of like the branding of the store and the way it looks when you walk in, and the boardwalk's, like I said, touristy. So a lot of people that come in our store don't surf, so it's more like we're selling a lifestyle. So people want to buy into the lifestyle and maybe take a surf lesson and feel the culture. So
well, I was going to ask you about that, because it's my understanding you not only get lessons right out of the stores in Atlantic City, but you also have a store or a location down in Wildwood where you do some surf lessons as well.
Yeah, I branched out, and I started a surf school down North Wildwood a couple years ago, and Yeah, it's going great. I like North Wallowa. It's a pretty quiet little town, and it's a good little surf spot down there.
Well, thank you very much, Dean, for sharing. We'll be right back with more business talk with Dean Randazzo of Jersey Devil Surf. We are back with Dean Randazzo of Jersey Devil Surf. Dean, we talked earlier about surfing, and we let people know you've been surfing your entire life, and you're a member of 2 different Hall of Fames, the East Coast Surfing Hall of Fame as well as the New Jersey Surfing Hall of Fame. Congratulations on both of those honors, by the way. How did you make the transition from professional surfer to multiple business owner?
I guess when you're traveling the world, you're kind of running your own business as it is because you're a professional athlete and you have to manage all the business end of it, like plane tickets and sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. Although some people have managers these days, but back then it was a little bit different. I just thought if I could brand the name that I've taken around the world and kind of people knew me from surfing, so it would be kind of a transition into staying active in the sport because I love surfing. Like now it's like, how do I stay at the beach and not have that 9-to-5 job, basically? So,
what prompted you to go into business with your brother, though? You partnered up with your brother Joe at Jersey Devil Surf.
I think it was always a dream of ours to have a surf shop when we were little. Although running a surf shop, we didn't get to surf that much. It's a little bit different than you think. So, but it was great to have our dream to have a surf shop and in this area, and I think that was part of the deal.
So that's going to beg the question: how did you guys come up with the name Jersey Devil Surf?
I don't know, my surfing was always known as like radical and abandoned. Like I either came in first or last. I just went hard with my surfing, and the Jersey Devil was kind of like a folklore in Jersey, so kind of spin on it.
Not only do you sell surf apparel and all the equipment that you need, you also give lessons, as we talked about earlier. But I'm really excited because I know you started a while ago designing your own boards. How did that come about, and how do you go about doing that?
I was always interested in board design, and just always trying to get that perfect board. I was always measuring my boards and the fins and stuff like that. And I ran into a shaper in San Diego who I teamed up with. We took some measurements of, came up with some common denominators on the boards I really liked from different shapers around the world I had in my garage, and we hand shaped a couple in and we scanned them, and then we just continued to make changes from there. And I just kind of continued on my own with it, and just what numbers work, and change the rockers and dial them in. I ride them, and then I hand them off to someone who can finish them at our professional craftsmen. So it really works out well.
I've seen the boards and they're beautiful. Back to the 2 Atlantic City locations, it's interesting. You have 2 different dynamics working there with the Gardner's Basin store and the Boardwalk store. But specifically the Boardwalk store, you have some very interesting and tropical type neighbors right across the boardwalk and right next to you. What's the relationship been and the synergy between you and the Margaritaville brands that are over in Atlantic City?
It's been great. I think resorts approached Jimmy Buffett and that crew over there to see if we could fit in, because they kind of have a similar beach lifestyle, and it just synergistically fits well because Jimmy Buffett's more of a touristy, having a sea breeze drink on the tropical island, and we're more like surf culture oriented, so kind of goes well.
And I know I've seen one of your boards.
It's all beachy stuff,
Yeah, and I've seen one of your boards in Margaritaville as well, so they have that prominently displayed.
Yeah.
Last quick question: what was the most important business lesson you learned in running your own business?
I think it all centers around the fear of failure. I think you need to get out there and go for it. That'll really show in the business, and it'll really help you succeed because it really shows that you're passionate about what you're doing. You just have to get out there and do it and not be afraid to fail. I failed so many times in my life, but when you win, it's incredible. That outweighs any failure by a million miles. So, just get out there and do it.
I love that you're still utilizing the sport of surfing metaphor in business. I think that's going to carry you a long way. Thank you very much for sharing those lessons. That was Dean Randazzo of Jersey Devil Surf in Atlantic City. We'll be right back with more South Jersey business. As you are aware, management, marketing, money, and media are the essential parts of any business. And when you go from managing to surf big waves to managing a small business surf shop in South Jersey, you need to know something about all 4 M's. So it's time for the M4 Big Money Question. So Dean, let's break down the 4Ms. Can you talk to us a little bit about your management style?
I think it all starts with the employee. You have to find good employees first and foremost, ones that are driven and passionate about the business. And then secondly, you got to be a good leader. Don't be afraid to teach your employees a little bit and get down in the trenches with them and give them some leeway. Don't be like micromanaging them all the time. Give them some initiative to, try to do things on their own a little bit.
Let's talk a little bit about marketing. I was there when you opened up the store on the boardwalk, and you guys did a tremendous job getting people into the store. But what techniques did you use?
I think you get a lot of word of mouth out there, social media, get on Facebook, Instagram. We happen to be in a great location where we get a lot of foot traffic, so that helped. As far as marketing, you just got to get out there and try different things, see what works. We also did some radio, and we did a TV ad during Shark Week. So we just try to get the buzz out there a little bit and kind of get the hype on the store.
I love the different mediums you use. That's great. Now we get to the third M, which is money. And a lot of people look at that in different ways, but what did money mean to you in getting the business started and keeping it going?
Obviously, you need to have money or you can't do anything. You can't buy the product for the stores or whatever business you're getting into. So it's important to have a business plan together and try to attract some investors. And even better if you can find investors that have other things to offer the store. It was just great, which in our situation we did. So.
Yeah, you build a team around you. That's really smart. It's smart to do. Well, I love this final part because it's media. The final M is media. And the great thing about your career is part of that media followed you from professional surfing and all the accolades you received in surfing, and it followed you to the store. So how important was the media and is the media to your store?
It's all part of the branding. So I think it's very important. It adds a different element that some other stores might not have. So it's definitely important. You certainly can have a business without that part of it, but it definitely is a big help.
I noticed you're very active, your brands, all your brands are very active on social media. Is that something you personally oversee, or do you have other people working on that with you?
Well, right now we have two wonderful people running the things in the store, Dave and Morgan, and they do a great job. They're overseeing the social media for that store. And for my personal businesses, I do the social media myself.
It's funny, we didn't talk about this earlier, but let's talk about it now. I've been to both of your websites, the store website and your personal brand website. They're very clean, and they almost exude that same surfing vibe. Is that something that you personally looked at and said, this is the look that I want?
I think so. I think you just keep it basic and clean and simple and not too much bells and whistles. People get lost in all that stuff. We just want to keep it clean and straight to the point. Make it easy.
During the research of the segment, I went up ahead and I looked you up on the internet. And for images, there's some great images of you surfing. I think so many businesses look for those iconic shots to describe their business. How has that worked for your advantage? The images that were created in nature, in action, and it still feeds your brand.
I think it's for one to get the image, and it's timing, and you got to put yourself in the right position. I think it's just great to have that as an extra source of branding and to use for social media or whatever.
My final question would be, has the surfing community fully embraced social media?
Of course, yeah. I mean, they're everywhere. It's like, look at what they're doing with GoPro, and that's all over the internet. Guys are doing all kinds of stuff through social media, and especially Instagram and all that kind of stuff. So it's very important. Without doubt.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing your views on the M4 Big Money question, Dean.
Thank you.
There you have it. Pro surfer Dean Randazzo of Jersey Devil Surf's epic set of management, marketing, money, and media. Welcome back. On today's 3-minute drill, surf song inspired business lessons. On today's 3-minute drill, we will paddle out and ride in with today's show theme with our 3-minute drill. Having grown up at the Jersey Shore, the surfing culture has always been a big influence on me. While I tried my hand at tackling waves, I was never as dedicated to the activity as I could have been. So as a nod to those that continue to search for the perfect wave, today we'll take our inspiration in running a successful business from 6 surfing songs whose titles will help you win the paddle battle and catch some tasty waves of success. So let's begin. Catch a Wave by the Beach Boys. Having a keen eye for business opportunity and making business decisions based on trends and what you see coming your way is a lot like deciding what waves you will work to catch. Not all of the waves, just as not all the business decisions you make, provide what you are looking for. However, with each wave you attempt to catch that doesn't work out, if you pay attention and watch the chop while you are paddling out, you are that much more ready and prepared physically and mentally for the next opportunity. Wipeout by the Safaris. A wipeout is an unexpected fall off a surfboard while surfing a wave or a surf accident. There's no doubt you will experience some wipeouts when surfing and in business. Both falls in sales numbers and accidents of all sorts can befall business at any time. Minor and major wipeouts may occur, and the key to surviving those wipeouts is to assess the risks associated with what you are attempting and prepare for what could happen. In addition, having people around you that can be of assistance should a wipeout occur while surfing, as well as in business, is a key to surviving. Identify those key people and make sure they are with you prior to a wipeout. Pipeline by the Shantays. The Pipeline is a classic Hawaiian wave. It's amazing, barreling, and mean. It's one of the most famous waves there is. Attempting to ride this wave is not for the novice surfer. So if you're just starting out, the Pipeline is probably the last place you want to be. How does this relate to business? Well, a startup company usually has very little margin for error when it comes to taking unnecessary risks, while a mature and more seasoned business may have the skills, experience, and resources to tackle more difficult tasks or take more chances. The Pipeline can also refer to your network, and therefore it stands to reason that a more well-known, seasoned, experienced business owner would have developed a stronger network than just someone starting out. Aspire to develop the skills and strengths in business to handle the Pipeline and grow a stronger pipeline in the process. Finally, Surfing Safari by the Beach Boys. This one is pretty simple. You may want to get outside of your business and visit other areas of the region, state, country, and world to see what is going on in business. Even when you plan a non-business vacation, keep your eyes peeled for the processes, products, services, and other things you can bring back from your vacation or safari to better your business. Some things that work in another part of the country or the world sometimes take a long time to reach other areas. Become a catalyst for bringing new and eye-catching items and unique to the region services that you find in other places. So there you have it. This week's 3-minute drill of business tips inspired by some tasty waves and songs about surfing. We'll be right back. Having a good community conscience is an important part of building solid business relationships in the region where your customers, friends, and families live. Making a real difference through giving can be part of making a living in business. Here's how this week's guest gets involved to make our communities and region stronger. Susan, one thing I've found is successful businesses in our region tend to give back. They volunteer their time. I understand you're involved in a newer initiative right into Cape May County in your hometown. Can you talk a little bit about your work in Upper Township?
Sure. So I've lived in Upper Township for over 20 years, and economic development is something that I'm involved in my business with various communities throughout South Jersey. So I came up with this initiative and proposed that we start this in my township, talked to my mayor, and he agreed. It was about time that we did it, and we launched the Upper Township Economic Development Commission. We're really trying to get to a point where we have some solid recommendations on what can be done in Upper Township to improve economic development and drive not only more new businesses to come into the township, but also to maintain our business base.
It's interesting because that's a micro view in your county. You're working right in your hometown, but now we talk about your home county, and you're doing some work with the Cape May County Women's Commission.
Yes, the Women's Commission is one of the organizations that I'm involved in, and many other organizations as well. I think just generally speaking, it's really important to get involved, not only as a business person, but just as a person, to contribute to your community. It's something that's very important to me. It's been pretty much my whole life. I love to give back. I really enjoy it, and I bring my kids into the mix as well. And we pick up trash if it's that type of an event to do a community cleanup, or serving meals to seniors on the holidays, whatever it is. I try to include them, but I definitely think it's important that each and every one of us gives back to our community.
Well, it sets a tone for the rest of their life. I see it with my kids. It's the same sort of thing. If you show them the way, it'll be easier for them to find their way, I think.
Absolutely, paying it forward.
Absolutely. As a successful business owner, definitely just by what we just talked about, you spend a lot of time in your community and your family spends a lot of time in the community. What advice would you give to a new business owner or a business owner that hasn't done that? What tips or advice would you give about how to get involved? Because sometimes people are a little hesitant.
Sure. Well, pick an organization that you feel an affinity toward. If it's a women's commission, or if it's a business association, something that you can definitely attend the meetings and be a part of, and that you feel a connection to. Just from a networking perspective, if you're the first one there and the last one to leave, you're going to meet the most amount of people. And, don't be afraid to just walk up to people and introduce yourself, especially at networking events, chamber events, business associations. Those people are all there to meet other people. And unfortunately, sometimes people, tend to cling to who they know, but they're really there to meet other people. So be that person that they meet, and, don't be afraid to just walk up to a stranger and introduce yourself and tell them a little bit about yourself.
That's really great business advice and life advice. I want to thank you for not only sharing the information about the work you do, but for doing that good work in the community.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you very much. That was Susan Edelizzi Schmidt, President of Suasion Communication Group. We'll be right back with more South Jersey Business. As a proud graduate of Stockton, it is wonderful to meet and speak with so many business people in our region who have a past or a current link to the university as well. Let's plug into a Stockton Community Connection. Donna, as a member of Stockton University's faculty, you have an opportunity to connect some very unique community connections in the business community. Can you talk a little bit about those?
Sure. The beauty of being in the classroom is that our community members look for help or research or volunteers. So I'm able to work with businesses and some nonprofits to help them. Many of them want to see the millennial generation perspective on things. Some of them just need help doing maybe research or a SWOT analysis, or maybe just a marketing project. So I've been able to work with these organizations and provide them with talent and research that ends up helping their business in many ways.
I won't call it a labor of love, but I see again by the smile on your face that you do enjoy that community connection. How valuable is it personally when you can stand next to those people in the community and say, we were part of this, Stockton was part of this?
It's very rewarding, but it's rewarding not only for the businesses but for the students as well. So it would be easy to kind of phone it in and just teach from the book, but I'm passionate about connecting the theory to practice, and so every opportunity I get to do that helps. It's win-win all the way around.
Was this something you developed on your own, or did you have educators when you were in school that taught you the value of that outreach to the community?
I think it was instilled in my undergrad when I went to undergrad for hospitality and tourism management. So I think that I was schooled in that best practice, and I think I probably took it from there.
I love it. What type of feedback have you been getting from the businesses and nonprofit organization you've been working with?
Yeah, that's a be careful what you wish for, because once one entity tells another entity that you've done this great job, or call Stockton or call Donna and have their class help you with that, your phone tends to ring. So the good thing is I can be selective about the projects, the things that I think students will benefit from, and the bad thing is there's probably just not enough students and not enough help to go around.
Well, it's great to be wanted, but it's also good to have a system to handle that, because when you do have only so much time in the classroom and outside the classroom to do it, it makes sense. So you would suggest that people contact the school, see if there's a fit there for their organization and the help they may need?
Yeah, sure. I think they need to remember that they're working with students, and students are students, and I think they have to think about the academic semester. A lot of people don't think about when students aren't here and when they're not working and in school.
That's really great advice, and I want to thank you for sharing your Stockton community connections with our audience.
My
Thank
pleasure.
you. That was Dr. Donna Albano, Associate Professor of Hospitality and Tourism Management Studies here at Stockton University. As the number of people that watch South Jersey Business here in our region grow, so does the amount of questions we continue to receive. And of course, we do our best to respond to your questions. So it's time for Q&A. Now let's check out this week's viewer question and provide some sound business advice. Dear South Jersey Business, my business is constantly asked to support local events and support local charities. I want to help my community, but my funds are limited. What is an over-asked business to do? That's a question I get asked frequently. The best way to deal with the situation you find yourself in is to be proactive. You need to develop a yearly community support plan. Actually, it can be as simple as a list of charities and organizations you want to support. Pick your top 10 groups or organizations that you feel a bond or a connection to, and put a dollar amount representing the total donation support next to each one. This should include the cost of your products and services along with any monetary donations you are planning to make. Then add it up. Then ask yourself, how much over this total amount can I afford to give? Once you have an overall total in mind, reserve the additional amount for new charities or organizations you may want to add. I would also suggest you ask each new charity that is seeking a donation to do so in writing, and also ask them if this is a one-time ask or a yearly donation you should budget for each year. Once your total amount for the year is met, you will be able to let those seeking a donation know that you already budgeted your funds for this year. However, if they submit the ask of a donation in writing, you can and hopefully will consider adding it to the budgeted list for your next community giving cycle. We all like to support as many charities and organizations as possible, but if you don't budget and balance the giving with a profitable business, there will be no business to ask a donation of. I hope that helps answer your question. Well, that's the show. We had a quality sit-down, got to meet Dean Randazzo, professional surfer, philanthropist, and business owner. We offered up an answer to a viewer question and even tackled a set of business strategies inspired by a few surf songs. Once again, thank you to Stockton University and everyone that makes this program possible. Let's do it again next week. And in the meantime, let's get growing, South Jersey. Thanks for watching.